Alrighty guys, let me move the tripod here a second. I'm removing this wideband I just bought so I can take it back, and I'm going to rehook up the AEM. Give me 1 second. Oh, they got this Japanese one. This wideband that I got off Amazon, the connector is like super weird from the Bosch, so it's like hard to get off. So give me a second here. I had to use a knife last time, so probably gonna have to this time too. Alright, give me a second to go get a knife. Alrighty, so I went and got my butane so I can heat up the shrink tubing after we're done, and I got some scissors to cut the heat tube, and I got my knife. So that's all I went and got. Got it. Okay. Now I'm gonna pull it out from right here off this connector. See, I don't know, this is different. It's different. I'll show you. This connector is different from an AEM style. But anyways, now I'm gonna go disconnect it from inside the car, and then we'll pull this one out. It's really not hard to hook up a wideband, but if you don't know how to do it, I'm gonna show you guys. Alrighty, for my car, my pillar, my pod is held on by one 10mm bolt, which this is all jagged and messed up, so I might take it off and try to fix it today. I don't know. I'm still not feeling the best, but feeling good enough to do some stuff to the car. So anyways, I want to try to get this wideband to work, so after I hook up my new intake manifold, which is a Blocks Racing, and I just got a Ram style log manifold, or not a log, a Ram style. I'm getting rid of the log style manifold, so hopefully we can turn this thing up, and if I get a better tire, we can really make it go fast. So now, pull this out, disconnect this, disconnect that. See how there's water in that? I know the one time water got in this and it ruined, I thought it ruined my AEM. Dude, my leg is soaked from the water dripping out of there. Okay, I gotta let this dangle for a second. Try to at least. Okay. Gauge. The sensor, and you hook your gauge up and your wideband will work. They're really not hard to hook up. I'm gonna try not to get in the way, but if I do, I'm sorry. So coming out of my ECU, I got wires right here. I got my white wire. I'll just take it off from the electric tape. And yes, I am gonna heat shrink and solder all these connections after I'm done, so don't worry about that. I just did this one in a hurry. It was really late the night before I had to go to bed for work, so I just taped it. And I made sure, like, I tug on my wires after I spliced them together if I'm not soldering them. And if they don't pull apart when I tug on them, they're all right for a drive. So, okay, so this wire, cut it. Take the yellow wire right here. Put the black wire up a little more. That's how you disconnect the power, ground, and the white wire from the wideband. Now, what I'll do since I'm right here is we'll just hook up this wire right back to the ECU. I'll solder everything up, and we'll be done with this side. And then I can disconnect that. All I have to do now is pull the other one out from the front engine bay, and it'll be done. It's basically just this. All it does is go to the gauge, and go to the wideband sensor. That's it. And then you get one like this, which I'll have to cut mine back a little bit. Give me a second here. Now, let me pull out my wires that I need. I don't need the brown wire. For an AEM gauge, there are certain wires you need, and there are certain you don't. You need the red, white, and black. That's it. You don't need the blue, brown, or green wire. They can all stay put, unless you want to use a negative voltage for your wideband, which no one really, my tuner don't do it, so I don't hook it up that way. But once you hook this up, the white wire to the white wire, the red to the red, and the black to the black, your wideband should work perfectly fine. Mine's having issues because one day I was in the hospital, my windows were down, I didn't think it was going to rain or nothing. So we went to the hospital, it started downpouring, I was in the hospital, couldn't really do much about it at that moment, my windows were down, and my gauge pod, it's right beside the window and it leaks, it has a gap in it, so I'm pretty sure water got right inside my gauge and destroyed it. Give me 1 second here, I'm trying to cut this harness tape, whatever the hell they use from China or whatever. All right, let me pause this. Give me a second. Alrighty guys, give me 1 second here to zoom out, if it'll let me. Okay, now, for these extra wires that you're not going to use, I just snip them and cut them back and keep them out of the way of each other. So like, well, if my scissors would cut, I should use the right tool and go get wire snips. But, so now, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Oh, let me put this green one down a little bit more. It's even with the blue one. Okay, so now, I just cut them to where they won't ever, like they'll never touch each other. Oh. One's short, one's a little taller, and then the tallest. And then all I do is I'll tuck them right back right here. See where my coating's gonna cover. Grab my scissors. Go like that. So now when I tuck this in, I can pull my wires out. Now my wires are out, and I don't have to worry because they're all tucked and folded right there. So now I'll put a piece of tape around that, and that'll hold that. But you could use saran wrap right here. Or not saran wrap, I'm tripping. You could use heat shrink. Not fucking saran wrap. Sorry, my blue wire was sticking out a little bit. See, I'm drawing this out because it's really not that hard of a task to do. And if you can't hook this up, maybe you should read the instructions. My tuner told me it's 3 wires. You just hook it right up. I said, all right, I'm ordering one tomorrow then. So I ordered it. I hooked it up. And he said, they ain't that hard to hook up, are they? And I was like, no. I was thinking more into it than I had to. Like I always do, but I don't know. I don't like spending money and get junk or get something that I don't need, or if I could have bought something else that would have did the same job, I'd rather do that, you know what I mean? So now my wires are all hanging out, so now what I'll do is I'll heat the ends of these up with a lighter, and I'll splice them together with my soldering kit, and we'll be on to the next part of this job. And that's literally installing a new sensor. Turn the plastic out of the wire. Let them pull down a little bit and then just slide it off. Okay. After you get your wires like that, you're ready to connect them. But before I do that, I'm gonna try to find my soldering kit, which it should be under my passenger seat. Dude, you can splice these into your harnesses a million ways. So you can join the wires right up to the wire that you need it to go to and solder them in. Heat shrink. I'm using my solder gun kit from Harbor Freight. You can use yours if you have one, or you can go get one. I do gotta plug mine in, so I'm gonna have to start the car because I got this thing right here that lets me control the car or control power off the cigarette lighter. Oh, I can't. I'm tripping. The power shut off to the car. Okay, well, here's my solder, which I'm almost out of. All right, let me put some flux on these wires. That's what this is right here, flux. Give me 1 second. Let me pause this and go get the extension cord so I can plug this heat gun in. Solder gun, I mean. Alrighty, guys. Let's get this job done. White wire and the black wire next. So we'll get the wire exposed. Get our heat shrink tube. I gotta put this one down because these wires ain't that big. Okay. I'm just gonna use the white on the black and the red, or the black and the white wire. I'm just gonna use two pieces of white heat shrink. Just, I mean, I should use red, black, and white, but I don't got any black heat shrink that's this small, so I'm not too worried about it. Okay, so now we'll take the white wire. We'll come down here and grab the white wire. We'll put this on this way. Make it a little bit easier on me. Wrap your wires together. Grab your solder gun. Heat your wire up. And solder it together. I'm not going to tell you how much solder to use because I don't know. I'm not a solder expert. But I will just say make sure you do like a little tug test, and if the wire don't come apart, then you know you're solid. And that flux makes this wire burn nice. Like it makes it go to smoothly, I should say. Alrighty, I'll let that cool down, and then we'll move on here to the black wire, and then we'll be done.
I might put a little bit more solder on that joint. You can twist the wires up however you prefer. I'm just trying to do this and get it done quick, but the right way, not with just electrical tape on the solder. Most of the time, if like I'm in a rush or something, I'll just twist them together like this really good, and then I'll tug on them, and if they don't fall apart, I'll put a piece of electrical tape on them. As long as I'm going to get to it within, like, you know, a couple days. I'm not just going to leave it like that for months, because the electrical tape gets old and brittle and falls apart. That's why they say don't use electrical tape on automotive wiring. That's why I'm soldering it and heat shrinking it, because that's the right thing to do with the shit. So, put some solder on this joint right here. That was a good solder joint. Flip it over here. Put some on the back side. Okay. Flip this white wire around. Oh, it's got solder almost over the whole thing. That's nice. Alrighty. Now that that's done, I can turn my solder gun off. Now I'm gonna give it a little tug test before I hook everything up. Good, good, good. And if it can withstand a little tug like that, it ain't coming apart on you. You're set to jet. Now see, if I would have used this tubing over that red wire, this job would have came out a little bit better. Yeah, it's all white shrink or heat shrink, but it looks better than having electrical tape on it, I think. Now you just heat it up until it collapses on the wire. Dude, I really might use a piece of that white stuff on that other red wire. I might cut that stuff off and redo that in real quick just to make it look cleaner. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. This is the right heat shrink that I need, the size at least. Not the color, but I ain't worried about that. It'll be under electrical tape anyways. Man, that looks really good. Besides that red wire with the electrical tape. Yeah, we'll redo this connection. Make it look a little better. If something's tugging on your harness while you're driving down the road, I think you got issues, because nothing should ever be pulling on your harness and stuff. So that's why I say give it a tug after you solder it. And if you can tug on it and it don't come apart, then usually you're all right, because nothing's going to be tugging on your torque. What's up? Well, I guess that's alright. It kind of collapsed on itself. So now, I'll take my electrical tape here and we'll just connect these wires, wrap all these wires together. And then we can hook the gauge up to the outside and see how it's going to work. This is the wideband I'm going to run, and even if I get another AEM gauge, I can still run this harness. So that's why I soldered it all back together, because it's staying like this. I'm only going to run an AEM wideband. That's the only wideband my tuner trusts, and it's the only one I really trust too. I don't trust that cheap shit, blow your motor up. Yeah, sometimes you got to ball on a budget. I had a glow ship wideband, but my tuner was like, yeah, get rid of this. It's junk. So I got rid of it. I listened. So now, maybe this is long enough to still reach over here. It might be. So then I'll get my AEM wideband.
solder gun got it. Oh, no, it didn't. Never mind. Okay, there's one. The ECU side is done. Now we don't need the solder gun for nothing, so I can put that away. And then I can hook the other wire up to the Bosch sensor and we'll be done. Should be hooked back. Let me put my solder gun away and stuff. We'll get on to the next part of this video. Alright, all my solder is I put a piece on the roof. Another piece of solder. And I got tape stuck to my damn car. Alright, let me pause this. Give me a second, guys. Alright, guys. Well, let me move my extension cord out of the way. Now, once you guys get your harness done on the ECU, then you can pull your old one out. This is the one that goes to that cheap gauge, and it goes to the wideband sensor. This shit up out of here. The junk wideband is completely uninstalled. That's the one that goes to the gauge and then to the Bosch sensor right there. So now I'll grab the other one, the AEM one, which you can tell this is an AEM wideband just by looking at it. So I know I have 16 foot of this. I could cut it down and make it to my length, but I never know where I'm gonna keep my gauges at, so I always leave it long in case I want to sell it or something that's not been tampered with. Push it through the firewall, route it how I want it to be routed out here. Hook it up to my... Now, remember when I was saying about that other one, it was hard to get off? Here, look, I'll show you guys. Alright, right beside me. Okay, so now like this, that's how you know that's not a cheap connector. This is not, that's a Bosch O2 sensor. The other one was really cheap. You saw I had to use a knife. Well, I'll insert a clip. I had to use a knife to get the other one off. Now we're gonna pull the harness through the firewall. Alrighty, let me set this back a minute. Alright. Pull the harness through the firewall until it stops, and then you don't have to pull on it no more. We're all the way through. Now, I'm going to pause the video, hook the power up to my car, and then we're going to start the car and see how it acts with a brand new sensor with my old wideband. So, alright, give me one second. I'm not going to pause it. Give me a second. Alright. Now, we should have power. Yep. I don't know if you guys can see, it says heating. They're really not that hard to hook up. As long as you hook the 3 wires to your ECU and then you hook the one to the sensor, you can route it however you want to route it in your car. You can use electrical tape on your wires. I'm not telling you how to do your wiring, but I would at least put some solder on it with some heat shrink. That'd be my opinion. My hands are all dirty now. Alright, it's heating up. See, that's what I was talking about, 30 seconds. You gotta let it warm up. Now it's lean because there's no air-fuel ratio. There's no fuel being mixed with the air. So we'll start it. Now we gotta let it warm up, and then it should display the number of whatever the AFR is. 8 being rich, 20 being lean. If it goes down to 20, you got issues. If you're ever doing a pull and you see it going off towards 13, I would just let out of it. Ain't nothing good gonna come out of it being lean. Unless, now like when you do a pull and it starts coming down towards like rich, if it's rich, I'd let it go. You can have your tune rich and blow it up. You can have it lean and blow it up. So, it's all one We can turn the boost up, boy. It's at 12.8, 12.7. It's really, it's about at 13 right now, which is kind of rich, but the tune's not all the way where it needs to be. But 13, it should be at like 14.7 right now. So I don't know if you guys can see it. Yep, you can see it reading the number. It's not, that number is a solid number in real life. On the camera, it's like flashing like an LED, but it's not. Yes, let's go. All right, let me shut this car off. Oh, babe, it's working. All right, I'll run it and route it tonight. Right now, I gotta go get my medicine for my dog at the vet. Later, guys.